Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve, whatever you want to call it. We are ready for some Strat-O-Matic, 1987, continuing the American League playthrough. Another game on the June 2nd docket, game 344 overall. We're at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, and Exhibition Stadium is a symmetrical ballpark, so singles are 1 to 9 left and right. Home runs are 1 to 11 left and right. Toronto won the real game 4 to 3. So we've got the pitching matchup. It is Mike Moore for the Seattle Mariners and Jim Clancy for the Toronto Blue Jays. Bring the game up on the Strat computer. That's the one. I always forget to do one thing before I start. And the one thing I forgot to do today was bring up Strat computer. So that would help to have that actually up on the screen so I can score the game as we play it. And it also, like I said, it keeps me in check to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Don't give anybody 4 outs or any of that kind of weird stuff. So I like to make sure we're on top of things north of the border. So as we get this game going, we'll look at, I forgot to put in the records of the teams and the records of the pitchers. I did these score sheets ahead of time, so most of the information is there. Some of the peripherals are not there. So let me fill those in really quickly. Seattle comes to the game 17-33. Toronto 31-17. So those are the records of the two teams. Hello, Dr. D and Mr. Gudeman and Justin. No, Justin, this is June 2nd. June 2nd. Hello, Blaine. Are you ready in action? Good morning to all of you. My plan is, I didn't want to advertise it because I don't know if I'm going to actually do it or not. But my plan is to play a doubleheader today. But I didn't want to say doubleheader unless I actually play the doubleheader. So if I do a doubleheader, then I'll update the title and thumbnail and all that good stuff. But I didn't want to put that out there and then not play a doubleheader. Then it looks weird. All right, Clancy's wild pitch is a 10. His balk is a 2. And his season record is 8-1 on the replay. He's 15-11 real world, 8-1 on the replay. So obviously his team is getting him lots of run support. Pass ball rating on Ernie Witt is a 3. All right, now we go to Seattle and put in their information as well. This won't take but another minute or less than a minute probably. Look at Mike Moore. His wild pitch and balk rating, he is a 3 and a 3. Pretty simple. 3 wild pitch and a 3 balk. And we go to his replay 1-loss record. He is 3-6. He was 9-19 real world. 3-6 on the replay. And now we need the pass ball rating of Scott Bradley, the catcher, and that'll finish it off. His pass ball rating is only a 1. So, of course, if the Strat cards had this information, I wouldn't need to go through all this, but that's another story for another time. Yes, Tribe fan, thank you for letting me know about that. I remember watching Mark Hendrickson pitch when Richmond was the AAA of the Braves. Syracuse, Toronto's AAA was here, and Mark Hendrickson did pitch. It was in the, I forget what the seasons were. I think it was the early 2000s, like 2001 or something like that. May have been 2002. I don't remember exactly, but I remember the name. Morning, Dav. Good to see you, Dave. Dav, I'm not sure which way I should be pronouncing that. Let's see here. Jim Clancy on the mound. We'll get his full numbers on the in the real season, 15-11, 3.54 ERA. On the replay, 8-1 with a 4.01 ERA. So his ERA is higher, but he's getting the run support. 76 innings pitched, 82 hits, 22 walks, and 65 strikeouts. And there you see the lineups for both teams. Pretty standard lineups, I would say. Clancy's a +1 on his hold, with Witt a 0, so a net +1. Mike Moore is a -4 on his hold. So Scott Bradley's +2 drops him to a -2 for the hold. And as I said, Toronto won the real game 4-3. So we are ready to go. Hey, Justin. Yeah, I watched some of that video. That's not a game I would be interested in, I don't believe. But, who knows? They're thinking outside the box, so that's certainly a thing. All right. Oh, before we start, ceremonial first sip. Have to have the ceremonial first sip. That is tradition. Jeff has some good coffee. All right. John Moses will lead off. He's hitting 236 on the replay. 2 homers, 21 driven in. He hit 246 real world. Runned away from Toronto. 4-9. That's a good roll for John Moses. That's going to be a double. Leadoff double for John Moses. And hopefully we don't get 3 errors in by one player like we had yesterday on Devon White. He was an E10. I rolled 14 on the D6s 3 consecutive times on error checks, and they came up as 2 base errors. All right, here's Phil Bradley. Bradley on the replay hitting just 220. He's really been struggling. 5 homers, 16 driven in. He hit 297 real world. See what Clancy does with Bradley. 6-8, and that's a walk. So Clancy, shaky start, putting 2 on with nobody out. That brings up the other Bradley, the other white meat, Scott Bradley. And let's see here. Scott Bradley hitting 269, no homers, 15 driven in. He hit 278 real world. Clancy could use a double play right about now. 4-10, but he won't get it. 1-7's a home run. It's gone. I'm sorry, it's not gone. Bradley has weak power against righties, so it will not be a home run. It would have been, but instead it's going to be a single 2 stars or 2 asteroids, as Jeff likes to say. It's an RBI single from Scott Bradley, and Phil Bradley will motor to third, and the Mariners jump on top 1-0. Still nobody out, and here's Ken Phelps, the designated hitter. Infield for the Blue Jays is playing back. They need outs. They want to turn a double play and get some outs. Phelps hitting 226 on the replay, 8 homers, 25 driven in. He hit 259 real world. (2-8), and that's a walk, so that's going to load the bases. Second walk from Clancy, and now the pitching coach is going out to try to settle Clancy down, find out what his issue is in this game. But he is definitely off to a rough start. And bring up Alvin Davis with the bases loaded, 293 on the replay, 8 homers, 26 driven in. He hit 295 real world. Dangerous hitter is Alvin Davis. Infield's still back for that double play because there's nobody out. They got to get some outs. 2-3, and that's a strikeout. So that's a good start for Jim Clancy. After that visit from the pitching coach, he comes in and gets the strikeout on Alvin Davis. Now the hound dog, Jim Presley, they get him to hit into a double play. They'll get out of the inning. Presley hitting 214, 11 homers, 36 driven in. He is 247 real world. It's a 3-10, but it's not going to be a double play. It's going to be a single, 2 stars, and a 2-run single off the bat of Jim Presley. It is now 3-0 Seattle. Here to start this ball game. Davis will take third, and Clancy's in a bit of a quandary. 3-0, and here comes Mike Kingery, the right fielder. Now at this point, the infielders come in for the Jays. They want to cut off the run. Kingery on the replay hitting 236, 4 homers, 14 driven in. He hit 280 real world. Infield is in, 1-8, and it's a walk. It doesn't matter. Clancy's third walk of the inning. So maybe he forgot whatever the pitching coach told him, because now he's reverting back to his not so good ways, and now the bases are loaded for Ray Quinones. we got a possibility of Seattle batting around here in the first inning. Now they're back for the double play again. 1-6, and it's a strikeout for Clancy, so he's kind of having a schizophrenic inning here. 3 walks and 2 strikeouts. And now the number 9 man to bat in the inning, Harold Reynolds, in a clutch situation. In the clutch, he loses hits on 1-9, 1-10, 2-9, and 2-10. So a lot of anti-clutch there for Mr. Reynolds. Reynolds hitting 285 on the replay. No homers, 7 driven inning at 275 real world. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and 3 are already in. 2-4, and that's a ground ball back to Clancy, and that's going to end the inning. Seattle puts a 3 spot up, but actually it could have been worse. I guess Clancy, hate to say he got out of it, fortunately, with only 3 runs, but the way Toronto's offense can hit and Seattle's non-pitching, I don't suspect the 3 runs will stand up for the whole game. So anyway, the recipient of those 3 runs is Mike Moore. He was 9-19 with a 471 earned run average in real world. On the replays, 3-6 with a 386 earned run average. 72 innings pitched, 77 hits, 20 walks, and 38 strikeouts. And Tony Fernandez will lead it off. And, of course, the Yankees and Brewers are very happy about this result so far. That would help them out. Some good coffee, Jeff. I can't tell you. It's especially good this morning for whatever reason. All right, here's Fernandez hitting 361 on the replay. A homer and 14 driven inning at 322 real world. 5-8 against Mike Moore. That's a fly to center field where Moses puts it away. And here comes Lloyd Mosby, center fielder. He's hitting 316 on the replay. 13 homers, 48 driven inning at 282 real world. 6-6 lefty, ground ball shortstop X. Quinones is a 3E31, first X check of the game. 3E31. Double die strikes early. 3-1's a base hit. Can't get around that double die. E31 and a 9. There's no 9 there, but it's going to get through on a base hit. Call that an AstroTurf base hit, as it skidded on that AstroTurf and snuck right by Quinones. And now Mosby, looking possibly to get the lead, needs a 2 through 5. Does not get the lead. He'll hold, and here comes Willie Upshaw. Upshaw, one of the few Blue Jays that are struggling. He's only hitting 199 on the replay, a homer and 15 driven inning at 244 real world. 2-2. That's going to be a foul out to the catcher Bradley for out number 2. Now it's up to George Bell. George Bell hitting 305 on the replay. 15 homers, 42 driven inning at 308 real world. For 3, and that's a ballpark single check. It's 1-9, but that's a 15, so we get our first line out to short, and that's going to end the inning. So Mike Moore gives up a 1-out single, nothing else, and after 1 complete, it's Seattle 3 and Toronto nothing. Clancy will have to regroup. He's going to face the leadoff man all over again, as all 9 went to the plate in the first inning. So here's John Moses. He doubled and scored his first trip. 3-6. He's going to ground it to short. This time, Tony Fernandez will be there to make the play. Brings up Phil Bradley. .512. 512's ground ball right back to Clancy. So maybe he got a good talking to in the dugout with the pitching coach. Maybe had an extra meeting, try to settle him in. Here's Scott Bradley. 111, and that's a pop up to first. So a very easy 1-2-3 second inning for Jim Clancy. So he has apparently corrected whatever was ailing him in the first inning. And we go to the bottom of the second, still 3-0. And Jesse Barfield steps to the plate. On the replay, Barfield is hitting 312. 18 homers, 47 driven in. Those 18 homers do lead the league. And he's hitting 263 real world. So he's hitting 312 replay, 263 real world. 210, and as they fly to center, Moses will haul it in again. One down. Here comes Rance Mullenix. Good morning, Kathy. Coffee is secure right here. Another sip of this warm coffee before it gets cold. And Kathy has a trivia question in the top of the third. All right, designated hitter Rance Mullenix hitting 355 on the replay. 5 homers, 21 driven in. He at 310 real world. 1-5, and he's going to ground it to short. Quinones is there. 2 up, 2 down, and that brings up Ernie Witt, the catcher. Witt hitting 299 on the replay. 7 homers, 22 driven in. He at 269 real world. 6-4, going to pop it up to first, and Alvin Davis is there. And both pitchers have a very pedestrian second inning with nothing going on. At the end of 2 completed, Seattle 3, Toronto nothing. And now if you will direct your attention to the chat box and see what the trivia question that Kathy has for us this morning. Get your thinking caps on. All right, here is the trivia question. What 5 teams switched cities in the 50s? All right, I got 2 of them right off the top of my head. I won't mention any names, but I know those 2 did. I want to say, let's see. All right, so I got 3. Let's see, in the 50s. Switch cities in the 50s. Okay, 4. I got 4. And I'm missing 1. Got 4. Who is the other one? There had to be another one. Got to think a little harder on this one, Kathy. I've got 4 of them. I just can't get the 5th one. I'm sure it's obvious, but right now it's... Oh, okay. I got them. I got all 5. Okay. I'm thinking it's... Let's see here. Braves, Browns, A's, Dodgers. Yeah, I think Mark's got it. That's the 5 I was thinking of. The A's were the last ones I couldn't think of. The A's were the last ones I had to think of. I figured Milwaukee came over from Boston. St. Louis Browns went to Baltimore. Brooklyn went to L.A. New York went to San Francisco. And, of course, the A's went from Philadelphia to Kansas City. Good question, Kathy. Like I said, the 4 came to me pretty quickly. Well, actually, the Dodgers and Giants came to me pretty quickly. And then I started thinking about it. And then I figured out the Braves and the Browns. It was the A's that I had to do a double take on. And remember, it was the A's that did that as well. All right, here's Ken Phelps. He's going to lead off the top of the third in this 3-0 ball game. 2-9, and he's going to draw yet another walk. He does that a lot. You can look at his card and see all those walks. In the real season, he walked 80 times, only struck out 75. Only had 332 official at-bats, so a lot of walks there. But he's no threat to run, so he will not be held. And here is Alvin Davis. He struck out actually his first time. 2-5, and this time he's going to ground it to short, and Tony Fernandez will turn the Giovanni's Tailor Shop tailor-made double play of the game. 6-4-3 double play. So Alvin Davis has had a rough game. Strikeout and now hit into a double play. Yes, Kathy, several people I know has chimed in with those 5 teams. Here is the Hound Dog, Jim Presley. He singled his first time up. 5-6, and this time he's going to strike out. So Clancy, after the leadoff walk, which was his 4th, strikes out his 3rd in the inning. We go to the bottom of the 3rd, still 3-0 Seattle. Of course, the Yankees and Brewers are watching this game with interest because it would help them if Seattle hangs on. Kelly Gruber will lead off for Toronto. Gruber on the replay hitting 328, 6 homers, 19 driven in. He only hit 235 real world, so he's definitely way above his average. 1-5, and that's a ground ball to short for Quinones. So you figure the more bats he gets, his average is probably going to start to creep back down to what his norm would be. Here's Manny Lee. He's only had 12 at-bats on the season so far since being called up, but he is hitting 417. No homers, a run driven in. He hit 256 real world and 121 at-bats. 2-6, and he's going to pop it up to first, and Alvin Davis is there. 2 down. Back to the top of the order for Tony Fernandez, and the Blue Jay offense looks really pedestrian at this point. 5-5, switch hitter. He's going to line it to short, and that's yet another line out. Going right to Quinones to end the inning. So 3 are in the books, and we got still a 3-0 ball game. Seattle has not faltered at all or flinched at all. They keep that 3-0 lead. And let's see here. Both pitchers have fatigue of 7, so if they're effective, they can go for a ways. Here's Kingery. Kingery walked his first chance. 2-5. This time he'll ground it to first. Upshaw will just step on the bag, and there's 1 away. So after the 3-run first, it's kind of settled into a pitching duel. Here's Ray Quinones. I'm sorry, what am I doing here? I didn't put I put it down in the wrong spot, didn't I? That's what made it look weird. I put it in Mosby's column instead of in the column it should have been for Kingery. That's why it looked weird. I'll fix that real quick. Okay, now 5-7 for Quinones. Right-hander is a strikeout for Clancy. That's his 4th. So 2 up, 2 down. And that'll bring up Harold Reynolds for his 2nd time up. 5-8, switch hitter batting left is another strikeout for Clancy. So he has certainly turned it on since that rough first inning. He has gotten things squared away, but he needs his team to score some runs, which they're definitely capable of doing. Bottom of the 4th, and it's going to be Lloyd Mosby. Heart of the order, Mosby, Upshaw, and Bell. That's the big boys coming up for the Blue Jays. 3-4, but he's going to ground that to Alvin Davis at first base for an easy out. So Mike Moore is causing weak contact. Look at all the pop-ups and ground ball. In fact, except for the leadoff fly ball to center, and you assume the single did as well, nothing else has gone to the. Well, I'm sorry, Barfield. There's a lot of line outs and pop outs and foul outs and ground outs, which means weak contact. 4-9. As soon as I say that, Willie Upshaw gets a solid single. 1-out single for Upshaw. Let's see. He will have to be held on because of the asterisk there, but he's got a 9 or 10 to get picked off. So we're not going to try anything there, especially down 3-0. Not when you have Bell and Barfield coming up. You don't mess around with that. So here's George Bell. 1-8 for Bell, and it's a ground ball to short, and we got another Giovanni's tailor-made double play. 6-4-3. Mike Moore is solidly doing the job, inducing those ground balls. And we go to the 5th inning, still 3-0 favor of the Mariners. You got a 31-17 team playing a 17-33 team, but that's why you roll the dice. Never know what's going to happen on any given roll of the dice. All right, here's John Moses. He will lead it off. Top of the 5th, 1-7. Struck him out. So Clancy, 6 strikeouts now. 3 in a row going back to last inning. He's definitely dialed in. Here's Phil Bradley. 2-9. Fly ball to left field. Easy play for Bell. 2 up and 2 down. For Clancy now, that is 7 in a row turned in by Clancy. Here's Phelps. He's walked twice. I'm sorry, not Phelps. It's Bradley, not Phelps. What am I doing? Cards got mixed in together there. Here's Scott Bradley. He is singled and popped to 5-9, and that's a ground ball to second. Another easy inning for Jim Clancy. write my fours very well, but that's all right. Penmanship was never my strong suit. Chicken scratch. I speak and read chicken scratch. So hopefully everybody else does too. All right, that's why I love watching Spokane Steve, because he's got the best penmanship I've seen. Jeff's isn't bad either, but I'll tell you what, the Spokane Steve score sheets look immaculate. All right, here's Jesse Barfield. 2-4 for Barfield. Ballpark single, 1-9. That's a 4. Base hit for Barfield. Blue Jays need to get something going. This is their first leadoff man to get on base, so maybe that will help them. Barfield not going to be held. Tabby's doing wonderfully well. She's actually downstairs sleeping in the bed. All right, here's Mullenix. 4-5, and that's a fly to left. One away. Here's Ernie Witt. Oh, I've gotten some prescriptions before from physicians, so I don't know how pharmacists read it, but they do. Here's Ernie Witt. 2-5, and that's a pop out to third base. The Hound Dog Presley puts that away. And the Blue Jays might be wasting this leadoff single from Barfield. Gruber 6-9, and that's a 1 for a triple. Anything else would be a double. To double to center field. We'll see if Barfield can score. He probably can, but we're going to take a look and find out. He's a 13. He was not being held, makes him a 14. There are 2 outs, makes him a 16. Moses is 0 arm. 16. Gruber would take third on the throw because he's higher than 13 here. So it's 1-16 to score. And Seattle's going to throw through. They don't mind giving Gruber third base because there's 2 outs already. So 1-16, he scores. And he's in there, and Gruber will take third on the throw. It's an RBI double for Kelly Gruber. Came through in the clutch. It wasn't even a clutch situation, as it turns out, the runner at first, but still comes through, makes it a 3-1 game. Sometimes that first run is the hardest one to get. And now with 2 outs and Gruber at third, we have Manny Lee. Manny Lee. 1-4, and he's going to pop it up to third to end the inning. But the Blue Jays do get a run to break on top of the scoreboard and get those zeros off the board. At the end of 5, it's 3-1 Seattle. And we will go to the top of the 6th. There will be a 7th inning stretch break for coffee refreshment, of course. All right, here's Ken Phelps. He's walked twice. 6-5, that's a fly to left. So finally retire Ken Phelps. Dan, I don't judge anybody's handwriting because I know how bad mine is. So if somebody's got worse than mine, oof, that's pretty bad. All right, here's Alvin Davis. 4-5. That's a strikeout. That's strikeout number 7 for Clancy. It's not a very high bar to beat my handwriting, I can tell you that. Here's Jim Presley, the Hound Dog. He's 1 for 2. 6-9, and that's a 1-14 single. That's a base hit. I will say one thing about Mr. Berglund. Nobody does an unboxing like Kirk Berglund does. That is his thing. When you see a Kirk Berglund unboxing video, you know you're going to be entertained. No matter what's in the box, you're just going to be entertained in the process. At least that's my reaction to that. All right, here is Kingery. 3-9 for Kingery, and that's a ground ball to first, and that's going to end the inning as Upshaw steps on the bag. So Clancy is definitely settled in, but his team, he's waiting on his team to get him some more runs. He's still down by 2. Go to the bottom of the 6th. 3-1 ball game. Top of the order for the Blue Jays. Maybe the top of the order can do something, although Fernandez is 0 for 2 on this game. 6-3, and that's a fly ball left field extra. Looking at Bradley, it's a 2-E5. So you would think he would get to this. 2 and a 4, though. What, Devil Die? Second time in a row it's done this. 2 and a 4, he will get to it though. F1 is good enough to make the catch, but when it passes the Devil Die check, then you got the 3 D6s to check, and that's a 17. Very likely to be an error on a 17. That's an E5, but a 17 could produce an error. It does not. It's an 18 and a 14. If it was an E6, it would have been an error. But Bradley is able to make the catch. Wasn't pretty. It's not going to be on SportsCenter highlights, but he will make the catch. Here is Lloyd Moseby. 2-6, struck him out. And for Moore, that's his first strikeout of the game. Took him 6 innings to get one. He finally got a strikeout. Very unusual to wait that long for a strikeout. Here's Willie Upshaw. 1-6, and that's a fly to center. Tell you what, he has kept the Blue Jays off balance the whole game. At the end of 6, still 3-1. And now the fatigue inning for both pitchers will come into play as we hit the 7th inning. It'll be Quinones, Reynolds, and Moses due up for the Mariners. Another sip of coffee while it's still warm, hopefully. I was expecting more runs in this game, but we still got 3 innings to go, so anything can happen. There's Quinones. He struck out twice, 3-7. This time he gets himself a base hit. Leadoff single for Quinones. And now Harold Reynolds comes up in an obvious bunting situation. And Toronto knows this, so the corners are in. He becomes a B bunter. Not even going to roll for corners in because they just know it's going to happen. All right, so we're going to the bunt chart. Roll to havoc, no wild pitches or anything going on. We'll see who's going to field it. The white die being a 6 says it's going to the third baseman, so Gruber is going to field this bunt. In this column here, he needs a 9 or less. Gets a 7, that's a good sacrifice. It's going to go 5-4 on the sacrifice hit. So Harold Reynolds was paying attention to the Baseball Tonight videos about how to do the basics and the fundamentals, and he gets the bunt down. Baseball 101. 5-4 if you're scoring at home because Lee had to cover first base with Upshaw charging, and you know you should be scoring at home. Here's John Moses. Quinones not being held at second. 1 out. It's a 5-4. That's a fly ball center field X. Well, Mosby's a 1, so you know he's going to get to it, but we still roll the D20 because it's a possibility he could get an F1 and the runner would move up. So we're going to roll all the dice. 1-15. Okay, that's just an F3 that nobody's going to move anywhere. The 1-15 is an F3. It means runners cannot advance. That's a 14, and Mosby is an E7. There's a 15 and a 17, but no 14. So Mosby is able to make the play without incident. And Quinones has to go back to second base with 2 outs. Now a clutch situation for Phil Bradley. Hello, Kenyon. Phil Bradley in the clutch. In the clutch for Bradley, he will lose a hit on 1-7, also on 2-10. So it loses a hit in a couple of spots. This is a 5-7. It's a strikeout for Clancy. That's his 8th strikeout of the game, and Clancy keeps endurance into the 8th inning. So we go to the 7th inning stretch. It is a 3-1 ball game. And actually, as swiftly as this game is going, I think I'm going to go ahead and just keep playing and not do a 7th inning stretch because the game is moving along at a pretty good pace. Coffee's still relatively warm, so we can keep rolling, literally and figuratively. Here's George Bell. He's had a rough day. He's lined to short and hit into a double play. 5-7, and that's a solid single for George Bell. And again, this is the fatigue inning for Mike Moore as well, so keep an eye on his fatigue. Bell, no threat to run, really. Won't hold him on. Here's Jesse Barfield. $111 for Barfield, and we get another Giovanni's Tailor Shop tailor-made double play, 6-4-3. Just when you think Toronto's going to do something, they hit into the 6-4-3 double play. So 2 down, and that's going to bring up Rance Mullenix. 5-9, and that's a pop out to first base. Alvin Davis is there. So Moore keeps his endurance into the 8th as well. We could get a double complete game here the way this is going. 3-1 ball game as we head to the 8th inning. The 3 runs in the first by the Mariners have held up to this point. Clancy back out to face Scott Bradley, Ken Phelps, and Alvin Davis. 3 lefties in a row. 5-8, and that's a strikeout. Clancy gets strikeout number 9. Not dream number 9, but strikeout number 9. Here's Ken Phelps. I was not expecting a pitching duel either. 1-3, ground ball to short. Tony Fernandez is there, 2 down. But like I say, you never know with the dice. The dice have their own mind of their own. And they'll roll where they want to roll, basically. Here's Alvin Davis. He's had the rough game. 2 strikeouts and hit into a double play. 110. He's going to ground it to – he got a 1-9 for a home run, but 110 is a ground ball to Manny Lee at second. And Clancy will keep endurance into the 9th. So he'll at least start the 9th inning. Don't know if he'll finish the game, but he'll at least start the 9th inning. Mike Moore is up now. If we want to do pinch hitting for either Gruber or Lee, we'll have to wait and see. Let's see what Witt does first. Ernie Witt. .48, and that's a strikeout. There's a dot there, but he's not tired yet. Only a second strikeout. Kenyon, yes, they are. By far, the most underperforming. No question about it. No other team is that far off their real-world performance. I mean, the other bad teams like Boston and Baltimore, that's what they did in real world. So nobody's, nothing going on there. So, all right, here's Kelly Gruber. We're going to go ahead and let him bat. He did double his last time up. 4-7. He will walk this time. Leadoff walk, and I believe that's the first walk issued by Mike Moore. Hasn't been many walks or strikeouts in this. Manny Lee is the batter, 256 hitter. He's 0 for 2. They could kind of use a jolt in the arm here, I think. So let's see where they're going to go with this. They're going to bring in the crime dog, Fred McGriff, to pinch hit for Manny Lee. And then Garth Orge will take over at second base. So they need to try to get a spark. And they're going to see if the crime dog can provide that spark. McGriff to pinch hit in the 8th inning. And then Garth Orge will play second base in the 9th. But Fred McGriff is the batter. Real season for McGriff. He had 247 with 20 home runs and just 295 at bats. See what he's doing on the replay. The crime dog. On the replay, he's hitting 230, 9 homers, 17 driven in, and exactly 100 at bats. All right, so Gruber not being held at first base. And here is the crime dog. 6-8, and that's a double 1 to 12, single 1 to 13. So single 2 stars. Single 2 stars, and now the Blue Jays have something cooking with runners on the corners and only 1 out. McGriff will be lifted, and Garth Orge will run for him. Garth Orge runs at an 11. McGriff runs at a 10. Not that big a difference, but they're going to have Forge coming to play second base anyway, so might as well have him run for him as well. They don't really have any other speed on the bases. Orge at 12 is the fastest guy they have on the bench. So now Tony Fernandez is up, and Seattle's got their bullpen going as Mike Moore approaches fatigue. Look at the Seattle bullpen and see who they have available. It looks like Bill Wilkinson is loosening in their bullpen, a left-hander. Bill Wilkinson. He was 3-4 with a 3.66 ERA and 10 saves in the real season. But they're going to let Moore face Fernandez, but when they get the Mosby and Upshaw, we're going to see Wilkinson. So this will be the last batter that Mike Moore is going to face right here, Tony Fernandez. He has gotten Fernandez 3 times, so they're going to trust that he can do it again. Tony Fernandez, infield playing for the double play. 2-4, and it's here we go again, another Giovanni's Taylor. Well, it's not really a tailor-made double play because it's 3-6-3, but it's still a double play any way you go it. 3-6-3 double play, and that will end the inning. And for Seattle, that is the 3rd double play they've turned in this game, and that's going to do it for Mike Moore. He's going to go 8 innings, 8 solid, giving up just the 1 run. Let's put in this double play in the computer and get everything all lined up here. 3-6-3 double play. So Garth Orge will now be inserted at second base in place of McGriff, who pinch hit for him. Let's get the numbers for Mike Moore from the computer for the game. Mike Moore goes 8 innings, 6 hits, and a run. 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. Do up for the Mariners, it's righty-lefty switch. Don't know if the Blue Jays want to make a move for the bullpen as well, although Clancy is pitching pretty well. Let's see who the Blue Jays might have in their bullpen that they might want to bring in, if anybody. Let's see here. They're going to stick with Clancy, I think. I don't see any reason not to. He's pretty much the best they have. The other guys, the other bullpen arms are kind of tired, so they really would prefer to give them a game off. If they were winning 3-1, they'd bring in Hinkie, but they're not winning. So they're going to stick with Clancy and hope that he can do the job. All right, Action has put in a trivia question, so let's take a look at this. Tony Fernandez had over 4,000 plate appearances, but none of these. Okay, that's interesting. Dav is going with Grand Slam. That sounds like a reasonable answer. Coffee's starting to get a little cooler, but hopefully you can finish out the game without the coffee being a problem. Presley, Kingery, and Quinones. All right, so not a Grand Slam. That's not part of the answer. So we have to think of something else. Let's see here. What else could he have not done? Not sure. Inside the park home run is what Dan is guessing. Jeff is guessing hit by the pitch. I don't know, as fast as he is, I would assume he would have gotten 1 inside the park home run, but that's a hard thing to get, so that's certainly a good guess. Not either one of those. None of those. I know he's hit a bunch of triples, Bart. He had a ton of triples. He had 8 triples in 1987. Let's see here. Oh, intentionally walked. He never got intentionally walked in 4,000 at bats. Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting. I guess that's a product of having good people hit behind you. Very strange that he would not be intentionally walked. Nice question there. And Jeffrey gets the honorary Mike's Ikes or whatever they call those things. All right, so top of the ninth we go. Thank you for that trivia question. 3-1 ball game, top of the ninth. Clancy's going to try to finish what he started. Here's the Hound Dog, Jim Presley. 1-9 for Presley, and that's a fly to center where Mosby puts it away. If you'd have asked me in the beginning of the game, would this 3 runs have held up the whole game, I would have said no, but obviously I would have been wrong. Here's Kingery. 3-10 for Kingery, and that's a ground ball to second. And the new second, I tell you, bring a new second baseman or bring a new fielder in anywhere, and the ball will find you. And it certainly did, as he grounds it to Garth Clockwork Orge. For 2 down for Ray Quinones. 5-9 against a right-hander. That's a fly to center, and that's going to end the inning. So Clancy did all he could do after the first inning to keep things where they were. Now it's up to his team to deliver here in the ninth. Bill Wilkinson will be coming on, a left-hander. He's a -1 hold, so that makes him a +1. Clancy's going to go all 9 innings, and he's going to give up 5 hits and 3 runs. They were earned. Let's see here. He struck out 9, and he walked 4, it looks like. But he didn't walk anybody after the 3rd inning. He walked 3 in the 1st and 1 in the 3rd. No walks after that. So 4 walks and 9 strikeouts. And he gave his team's bullpen, assuming they don't go extra innings, he gave his team bullpen a day off. So Bill Wilkinson will be coming on 3 and 4. Well, first of all, let's bring him on the computer so I can get his replay stats for you. We'll bring him on in the computer. And Dick Williams is shaking Mike Moore's hand, says nice outing, but we're going to take it from here. So Bill Wilkinson going to come on. He was 3 and 4, 3.66 ERA and 10 saves in the real season. On the replays, 1 and 1 with a 4.43 ERA and 1 save. 20 innings pitched, 19 hits, 5 walks, and 21 strikeouts. So Bill Wilkinson will be facing facing Mosby, Upshaw, and Bell, 2 lefties and then some righties. So the Mariners do have Steve Shields loose in the bullpen, a right-hander, just in case Wilkinson struggles and we get down to the right-handers. All right, he has a follow-up question before we get started in the bottom of the ninth. Who had the most career plate appearances with no intentional walks? I have no. That's weird. That's an interesting question there. That's anybody's. That's what Jeff would call an arcane question. I guess. I think I'm using that word right, Jeff, if I'm not mistaken. All right, here is Lloyd Mosby. But if anybody wants to guess, go ahead and chime in. I have no clue. Even the initials don't help me. At least not off the top of my head. So here's Mosby, lefty, 312, and that is a ballpark single check, 1-9, but that's an 11, so he's going to foul out to the catcher Bradley for out number 1. Oh, Gary DiSarcina. I remember that name. I just didn't know he didn't have any intentional walks. And I think Dab was right on the track there with that middle infielder. Okay, so I did use the word correctly. Very good. I don't have the greatest what's the word for it? I don't have the greatest Well, I'm trying to make a point, and I can't think of the word to make my point, so it's kind of really ironic. Let's see. I'm just going to make matters worse if I keep going, I guess. So we'll just move on. Here's Willie Upshaw. Lefty, lefty, 111. Ground ball back to Wilkinson, 2 away now. Maybe I should say the greatest mastery of the English language or whatever. Some things I know enough to be dangerous, I guess, but I don't know a lot of what my old pastor used to call highfalutin words. Another one of my favorite words, falutin. All right, here's George Bell, and with a 2-run lead, they're going to let Wilkinson keep going because even a solo home run won't hurt him. So Wilkinson trying to finish it off here against Bell. 4-4, ground ball third base X. We are looking at the hound dog, Jim Presley, 2E24 to end it. A 2E24. 2 and a 10 is going to be good, I do believe. 2 and a 10 is good. That's an 11, and he's an E24. E24, there's no 11. There's a 9 and a 12, but no 11. So the hound dog makes the play, and the Mariners defeat the Toronto Blue Jays by the score of 3-1. As Seattle just kept the Mariners off, or kept the Blue Jays off balance the entire game. And we'll go to the box score to get the totals before game 2 comes about. So we have 3 runs, 5 hits, and no errors. 1 run, 6 hits, and no errors. There will be about a 2 or 3 minute break between games. So I can, as Jeff likes to say, use the lavatory and get a new cup of coffee. Player of the game, unquestionably, Mike Moore. He controlled the Blue Jay lineup through 8 innings. So Mike Moore gets the win to improve to 4-6. Bill Wilkinson picks up his second save as he went 1 inning, gave up nothing. Clancy, the tough luck loss, he drops to now 8-2. Does Clancy. Mariners left on 5, Blue Jays left on 3. So that game is in the books. Blue Jays dropped to 31-18 now. So let's look at what that does for the standings in the American League East with the Yankees win yesterday. The Yankees pull ahead of Toronto. Toronto's now a game and a half back of Milwaukee and a game and back of the Yankees. But don't go away. Game 2 is about to commence in a few minutes. It's going to be from Fenway Park. It'll be the Minnesota Twins against the Boston Red Sox. I need to put all the cards away from this game and then get everything settled. So it'll be a few minutes to get things going before the next game. Overperforming team. Probably right now, well, according to the computer, the most, look, if you're speaking strictly wins and losses, which is what I'm assuming you're talking about, wins and losses, the Milwaukee Brewers are the most overperforming team in the replay right now. They were 25-21 at this point, real world, and they're 31-15 now, so they're 6 games ahead, and no other team is 6 games ahead of their real world pace. So Milwaukee is the most overperforming. Seattle, despite the win, is still the most underperforming. They are 9 games worse. They were 27-24 at this point. Right now they're 18-33, even with this win. So Seattle, the underperforming team, and Milwaukee, the overperforming team. Hello, Mike. Just in time for, well, you caught us in the middle of a switch up from Game 1 to Game 2. Game 1 just completed. And now Game 2, got to set up for Game 2. And then I'll take a quick break so I can be refreshed for Game 2. Game 2 will come to us from Fenway Park in Boston. And maybe somebody who's good at name pronunciations can tell me how you pronounce that name. I'm assuming it's Leicester, but I don't know for sure. But somebody can let me know. Never really heard of the guy from Boston. John, I guess it's Leicester and not Leicester. I'm going with Leicester unless somebody tells me differently. I'm assuming it is Leicester. And he'll be opposed by Juan Berenguer of the Twins. So we have the Minnesota Twins of Tom Kelly against the John McNamara's Boston Red Sox. Go to fill in the missing information for the team records, the wild pitch ratings, and all that stuff, just like I did in Game 1. So we'll go to the box score and get the records. Put them in first. Minnesota comes into the game 23-27. And Boston comes into this game 19-31. Lister. Okay. Maybe the E is silent. I don't know. I have no idea. I guess somebody could look him up on YouTube video. Maybe he's out there on a YouTube video and an announcer says something. I have no idea. I don't know how much he played. He started 6 games in 1987, was 0-2 with a 9.20 ERA. So obviously he didn't hang around for long. Probably went back to Pawtucket pretty quickly. All right, let's go to, and this is Leicester obviously has no record, no one-loss record. Oh, I already have his wild pitch and stuff for him because it's on his card. Unfortunately for Berenguer, it's not on his card. So let me go to Berenguer and get his numbers. On the replay, he's 1-0. Let's see here what he's got for wild pitch and balks and whatnot. We see here 11 wild pitch and no balk. 0 balk, I should say. Not no balk, but 0 balk. We'll get our pass ball ratings for the 2 catchers for Tim Laudner of Minnesota. See what his pass ball rating is. It is a 6 for Tim Laudner. And now we need the pass ball rating for Gedman. I should be memorizing these by now. I think it's 15, but I don't know for sure. No, it's 12. Okay. I knew he had 15 for errors and T ratings, so it's actually 12 for pass ball ratings. Oh, he's a quarterback at Michigan State. Okay. Well, interesting. I have no idea because, like I said, I've never really heard of the guy. So don't know for sure what's going on with that. But I do know that this is game 2 of the split doubleheader. Pronounced Lister. Okay. There you go. June 2nd, game number 345. We're at Fenway Park. Very hitter friendly. Singles are 1-19 for lefties, 1-15 for righties. Home runs 1-7, lefties 1-10 for righties. Boston won this game real world 6-5. So that's where we stand at the moment. And now we're going to take about a 2 or 3 minute break so that I can do some things that need to be done and kind of rejuvenate myself for the next set of things to do. And let's see here. right, and to provide some entertainment while I'm gone for a couple minutes, one of the more epic rants by anyone. We'll watch us. I'll let you watch a little bit. Let me turn this ring light off. Of Jester's rise and fall of Strat-O-Matic, and I know Jeff did a rebuttal video to this, but still pretty decent nonetheless. Nonetheless, I should say, pretty entertaining in some aspects. ID's he likes to raise a little controversy once in a while. So I'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll get going with this second game. But obviously, some administrative things I need to get done. Check on Tabby. Need to heat my coffee. Use the lavatory, as Jeff likes to say. And if you're drinking this much coffee, you got to use a lavatory. I mean, it's kind of hard not to. So I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Funner game to play the 2020 version than the 2017 version. Is there anything wrong with the 2017 version? Not at all. It still plays. It still, does what it's supposed to do. But it's so much better. So much better if you actually can see things. So my question for you out there, if you're a type A player out there and say, oh, Jester, you're just a hater, you don't understand. The game is fine the way it is. They don't need to innovate. They just need to keep, producing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. My question for you, an honest question, is would you rather play Strat-O-Matic in the game system the way it is now, or would you rather have it so that it's more interesting for you as a player to view and play it? That is my question for you out there. Would you rather? I'm not saying that Strat-O-Matic needs to create, super animations or anything like that. That's not my point here. My point is, they have been programming this game for 12 plus years. 12 plus years. And it's the exact same thing as it is today as it was in 1997. The interface is the same. The animations or lack thereof are the same. Wouldn't you as a customer rather have it so that the players actually do things on the field, they actually move to make it a little more interesting for you? When you see that fly ball go out in the left field, you have no movement on the player. You don't know whether it's a catch or not until you read the text. Wouldn't it be better for you as a player, right, to see that and say to yourself, oh, yeah, he's going to dive and makes the catch. Whoa, that's super good play out there in left field. Isn't that a little more interesting? If you're telling me, no, Jester, I love it the way it is, there's no problem with it, you're lying to yourself, and you're lying to us, and you're the problem with the way the company is. Strat-O-Matic isn't going to make any effort in their computer games when they have customers that say, oh, nope, 10 out of 10, I love it, there's no problem with it, I love it, it's perfect the way it is, just leave it the way it is. And as long as...
All right, I know you were dying to keep listening to that, but you can always go back to ID Jester's channel and get that if you wish. Some people might think it would have been better off just to have dead silence, but Jeff, that's kind of the that was kind of the irony of the whole thing. Of course, Jester is pretty polarizing with his takes. Well, that's a terrible looking zero there on Bear and Gare. Let me fix that as best I can. He is 1-0 on the replay. Of course, Lister is 0-0. I got to remember to call him Lister. Everybody's saying it's Lister, so we'll go with Lister then. All right. And I'm not using tape on my score sheet, so I'm going to see if I can keep that from sliding all over the place. Of course, I use the, I don't want to write directly on the table because there's not a whole lot of cushion there, so I do use the old Strat-B, Form B, uh, the score pad to give me some cushion. That's what I use it for. So John Lister, he's a +1 overall because he's a +2 and Gedman's a -1. +1 hold rating. For Berenguer, he's a -1 hold rating. Berenguer is a -1 and Laudner, the catcher, is a 0. T rating for Gedman's a 15. T rating for Laudner is an 8. Pass ball and Gedman's a 12. Pass ball and Laudner is a 6. And like I said, Boston won the real game 6-5 on this date. All right, enough of that jocularity, and we'll move on to the game. And interestingly enough, I do have the photos in the Strat computer for all the players, and the photo that came up for John Lister is his Pawtucket, AAA Pawtucket Red Sox uniform. He's not shown in a Boston uniform, so maybe that's where he really belongs, is Pawtucket. And of course, game 2, no different than game 1. Have to have a ceremonial first sip. I got to put the little light back on, but we're going to have the ceremonial first sip before the first pitch is thrown. You have to have the ceremonial first sip. So I guess if there's one innovation I made in this genre, it's the ceremonial. I think I'm the first one to come up with ceremonial first sip. Not that that means anything. And yes, Jeff, that is good coffee. That's true, Dr. D. It certainly will. I've got the 62 cards, but I do not have it on the computer. So if there's a missing player, I just use the nameless players. That's what I'll have to do because I don't have it on the computer. Now, maybe now Strat, I think, is if they do a sale or whatever on the computer seasons, maybe I'll do something with that. If they, buy like 2, you get 1 free or something like that. But as I said yesterday, they are having a 25% off on selling, the game parts with the season. But when you add in the $20 shipping, that kind of covers the 25% I would have saved. So getting one season with the game parts is still over $80. And so I didn't see any savings there. So I did a bypass. I would have gotten 72. That's the one season I don't have that I kind of wish I had. Although I heard, don't know for sure, but I've heard that from other people that the 72, if ID Jester and others think the card stock is bad, I heard the 72 card stock was awful. So I don't know. I got 76 cards. They're not that great, but they're okay. They're playable. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get this second game rolling. John Lister against Dan Gladden. Gladden on the replay is hitting 221, 3 homers, 12 driven in. He at 249 real world. And we're underway from Fenway. 6-5, and that's right off the bat. John Lister hits the in-home run chance right here, and that is gone. Clean as a baby's ass, Mr. Gudeman. Right off the bat for John Lister. A 6-5 is an in-home run, normal power, clean as a baby's ass. John Lister gets lit up. Maybe he needs some Listerine to get that bad taste out of his mouth because Gladden just took him deep for his 4th home run of the replay. RBI number 13, and the Twins lead it 1-0. All right, here's Greg Gagne, the shortstop, hitting 365 on the replay, 3 homers, 18 driven in. He only hit 265 real world, so he's about 25% through the season, but he's hitting 100 points higher than he did in real world. That's a 4-8, and that's a single. So Lister, I keep wanting to call him Leister, Lister needs to get some results off the batter cards because going off the pitcher card, he is not having a good time right now. So Lister A +1 hold, so Gagny's going to see about getting a lead here. He needs a 2 through 6 to get the lead. At 8, he's picked off. Whoa, we got to hop in dice. We're going to re-roll that. 6, he gets the lead. 15 being held to 13, but then a +1's a 14, so that's a 70% chance. 1 to 14, and Gagny steals it. And he does. Stolen base for Gagny. Not only, like I said, not only does that get him into scoring position, but it eliminates the ground ball double play. Still get a Lomax, but you don't get the ground ball double play. And here's Kirby Puckett. Puckett on the replay hitting .322. 8 homers, 26 driven in. He at .332 real world. Kirby Puckett. 3-9 for Puckett. That's a fly to center. 1 away. And like I said, I think Lister better off to live off the batter cards. Here's Kent Herbeck. Kent Herbeck is hitting .309, 14 homers, 40 driven in. He hit .285 real world. Gagny not being held at second base. 5-9, ground ball first base. So taking it himself is Buckner, but going to third on the ground out is Gagny. So Gagny is now at third base, but now there are 2 outs. So clutch situation for Gary Gaetti. And in the clutch, Gaetti is showing that he gets a couple of hits here on 3-9 and 3-10. Gaetti on the replay is hitting .249, 13 homers, 45 driven in. He at .257 real world. 2-7, and he's going to come through with a base hit. 1 to 11 is a double. Gary Gaetti, an RBI double, and the Twins go in front 2-0 on Mr. Lister. Here comes Gene Larkin. Larkin hitting .321. On the replay, a homer 5 driven in. He at .266 real world. Gaetti not being held at second. 3-11, and that's a ballpark single check. And of course, in Fenway, you know that's going to be almost a guaranteed hit. It is only a 1-base advancement. So stopping at third is Gaetti. 2 down. I think we're going to get slightly more runs this game than we got in game 1. What do you think? He might exceed that total in the first inning. Here's Brunansky. Tom Brunansky. He would later go on to play for the Red Sox in a couple of years, but right now he's with the Twins. Brunansky on the replay hitting .279. 7 homers, 20 driven in. He at .259 real world. Nobody's being held on base. 2-5, and that's a ground ball to short. That's going to end the inning as Mike Owen makes the play. But Minnesota strikes for 2 in the top of the first against Mr. Lister. And we go to the bottom of the first, Minnesota 2, and the Red Sox coming to bat. And on the mound is Juan Berenguer. On the real season, Berenguer was 8-1 with a .394 earned run average. Primarily a relief pitcher, but he did get some starts in. So as I pull up his real numbers on the Strat computer, he actually had 6 starts in the real world. This will be start number 4 for him. On the replay, he's 1-0 with a save and a 3.98 earned run average, 43 innings pitched, 41 hits, 15 walks, and 47 strikeouts. They do give him a 6 fatigue rating as a starter, so once he starts, he can go pretty good ways. So it's not like he can only pitch a few innings. So Berenguer against Dave Henderson. He's going to lead off. Ellis Burks is not playing today. That's a terrible looking Henderson there with my handwriting, but whatever. Henderson on the replay hitting .234, 7 homers, 21 driven in, and guess what he hit in real world? .234. So he's right where he should be. 1-7, and that's a single for Dave Henderson. Leadoff single. Back come the Red Sox. Henderson will not be held. Here's Marty Barrett, second baseman. He's hitting .292 on the replay. No homers, 8 driven in. He hit .293 real world. Berenguer to Barrett. 1-9, and that's trouble. 1-19 is a double. It's a double 2 stars. And this could be a bullpen game for sure. Early and often. Second and third, nobody out for Wade Boggs. Infield is back. They need to get outs. Boggs hitting .337, 9 homers, 23 driven in. He hit .363 real world. Infield is, of course, back. 5-7. That's a 1-6 single. That's an 18, so we get a line out to second base. And that keeps everybody right where they are. One down for Jim Rice. Infield still back. .411, and that's a fly ball left field X. We're looking at Gladden. He's a 2E5. Could be, at least be a sacrifice fly if nothing else. 2-10, probably an F2. That would be a sacrifice fly. 2-10 is definitely an F2. That's a 6, and Gladden's an E5. There is no 6, but it will be a sacrifice fly for Jim Rice, and the Red Sox are on the board. Cuts the lead to 2-1. Now there's 2 away. Clutch situation for Mike Greenwell. Greenwell in the replay hitting .330. 8 homers, 20 driven in. He at .328 real world. 112, and that's a Lomax plus injury. So Mike Greenwell is a designated hitter in this game. He may be injured. If he is, Don Baylor will have to come in and DH for him the rest of the way. So we'll check on injury status for Greenwell as he hit the Lomax. There were already 2 outs, so no danger of a double play or anything. But we'll be looking at the injury chances. So I go ahead and say if it gets us 5 or 6, he can stay in the game. So basically 7 or higher, he has to come out. And 10, he's got to come out. So he's got to leave the ball game. And we'll bring in Jim Rice. I'm sorry, not Jim Rice. Bring in Don Baylor, their normal DH. He will take over those DH duties for Mr. Greenwell. So it will be Baylor, the DH. And Baylor runs at a 12 also. So really nothing changed there on the ratings, except for the fact that Baylor is now in the game as the DH for Mr. Greenwell. Let me see if the computer will let me do that change now or whether I got to wait till they're batting. Let's see here if it'll let me change. Yeah, it did let me change. Okay. I just don't want to forget to do it. All right, so Red Sox get a run. We go to the top of the second, 2-1. And here comes Mr. Lister again. And he's going to be facing Lombardozzi, Tim Laudner, and Dan Gladden. Lombardozzi hitting .288 on the replay, 2 homers, 15 driven in. He at .238 real world. Oh, we got hopping dice again, but we got some jumping dice in here. 3-9 for Lombardozzi is a single to right field. Leadoff single for Lombardozzi. He will not be held or try to go anywhere. Here's Tim Laudner, the catcher. He's hitting .271 on the replay, 6 homers, 14 driven in. He only hit .191 real world. So he's definitely doing better. Lister, 1-9. That's a ground ball shortstop B, so fielder's choice. Lister could have really used a double play there, but at least he gets the lead runner for the first out. And it's back to the top of the order, and Dan Gladden got to take a sip before the inning started. Need to sip while it's warm. Here's Gladden. Gladden led off the game with a home run his first time up when he found that 6-5 result. 4-6, and that's going to be a walk. First walk issued by Lister. Laudner will go to second. First and second, one out for Ken Herbeck. He got out of order there, didn't he? It's actually Gagne. Greg Gagne stepping to the plate. Singled and stole the base and scored his first time up against Lister. 1-8 for Gagne. That's a home run, 1-7. That's gone. Don't need any baby wipes, but it is gone nonetheless. A home run for Greg Gagne. 1-7, that's a 4. So a 3-run home run from Greg Gagne. And it is now 5-1 Twins. The 3-run homer from Gagne, his 4th of the season. He hit 10 real world in the whole season. He's got 4 right now. RBIs 19, 20, and 21 for Mr. Gagne, and it is 5-1 ball game. So we've already exceeded the run total of the previous game. We're just in the top of the second. Here now is Kirby Puckett. Well, that white die didn't go through. It bounced out, so we're going to redo that. Here we go, 2-6. That's a base hit for Puckett. Hit parade continues. 7th hit already. Puckett will not. They'll hold off on the running right now. Here's Herbeck. 6-7. That's a single, 2 stars. That's going to put runners at the corners. I mean, why would you run when you're pelting the starting pitcher to death over there? Red Sox may be going to their bullpen early and often. Here's Gaetti. Needs a double play to get out of this. Does Mr. Lister. They're playing for that double play. He needs it in the worst way. 4-10. Ground ball shortstop X. They got a chance. Spike Owens a 3E17. But knowing Lister's luck, the double die will come up with a 2 or something. Came with a 7, probably close enough, so that's not going to be a double play. If anything, fielder's choice. 3 and a 7 is actually not even a fielder's choice. His only play is going to be to first base. There's a pound there, but he wasn't holding anybody on. So the G3 is good. That's a 7. He's an E17. There is no 7. But it's a 6-3 ground out with all runners advancing. So Puckett will score to make it 6-1. Herbeck will go to second base. So an RBI ground out from Gary Gaetti. Two away, but another run is in, and now Lister is officially tired because he gave up that 6th run. So the computer is saying he's tired, but we're going to try to at least finish the inning. There are 2 outs for Gene Larkin. 6-5, switch hitter. That's an in-home run chance, 1-8. That's a 17. It'll be a double, and that will score Herbeck to make it 7-1. And the bullpen for the Red Sox can't get warmed up fast enough. We look at their bullpen and see who's the most rested is. Bolton's got the most fatigue, but I don't know if he's the most rested. Yeah, Bolton's the most rested. So Bolton will be coming on if Lister can't get out of the inning. They'd rather have Bolton start the next inning, though. So we'll see what happens here. It'll be Tom Brunansky up. He's the 9th man to bat in the inning. Runner on second, 2 outs. Brunansky to Lister to Brunansky. 4-7. Ground ball to second. That's going to end the inning. And that's going to do it for Lister. So Lister, a very forgettable performance. Tom Bolton will come on and pitch in relief. Lister is going to go 2 innings. And he's going to give up 7 runs. And all 7 of those are earned. 9 base hits, which just wasn't pretty. He didn't strike anybody out, and he walked 1. So 9 hits and a walk, 10 base runners in 2 innings, produces 7 runs, as 2 of them went long ball. So Juan Berenguer is the happiest guy in the place. He's got all that run support now. 7-1 ball game. in favor of the Twins. And Dwight Evans will lead off against Baron Gare. Hello, Colin. Good to see you. Evans hitting .321 on the replay, 7 homers, 31 driven inning at .305 real world. I was actually intended to play this game offline because I knew how bad Lister was, and I didn't want to subject you to all this bad pitching, but oh well. Between ID gestures rant and this, you got subjected to a lot. 6-9 is a strikeout for Baron Gare, his first. Here's Billy Buck. Buckner on the replay hitting .247. 3 homers, 20 driven inning at .286 real world. 6-9, and that's a base on balls. So he follows the first strikeout with the first walk. Buckner, of course, is one of the slowest guys in the league, will not be held. Here's Rich Gedman. Gedman hitting .133 on the replay in 60 at-bats. No homers, 5 driven inning at .205 real world. 6-11 is another base on balls. So back-to-back walks by Baron Gare. Last thing you want to do when you're up by 6 runs is start walking guys. Here comes the number 9 hitter, Spike Owen. Owen on the replay hitting .217, a homer and 5 driven inning at .259 real world. 2-7, and that's a 3-6-3 double play. What a way to get him out of the inning. Turned by Herbeck and Gagne. 3-6-3 double play, and that will end the inning. So what looked like it might be promising for the Red Sox in this inning turns out to be a dud. And we go to the top of the third, and coming in is Mr. Tom, don't call me Michael Bolton. 1-0 with a 4.38 earned run average on the season, or on the whole season. Let's see what he's done on the replay. On the replay, Bolton is no wins, no losses, no saves. 3.63 earned run average, 17 innings pitched, 18 hits, 7 walks, and 15 strikeouts. He'll be facing Lombardozzi, Laudner, and Gladden. Top of the third, 7-1 Twins, but they always say the game's never over at Fenway, so we're testing that philosophy right here. 4-7, and against a right-hander, that's a base hit. So Lombardozzi keeps the hit parade going for the Twins. Bolton, a -1 arm. It's a -2, but I don't think with the score being 7-1, the Twins are interested in running, particularly at Fenway Park. Here's Laudner. 4-9, and that's another single. This one 1 star. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Here's Dan Gladden. 2-8 for Gladden, and that's trouble. 1-19 is going to be a double. That is a 19. So Dan Gladden gets a double. That'll score Lombardozzi. It's a 2-star double, so Laudner has no chance to score. He has to stop at third. But another run is in, and Twins make it now 8-1. And Bolton's not doing any better than Mr. Lister did. Infield is in for Greg Gagne. Hello, Frank. Good to see you. 1-8 for Gagne, and that's trouble. 1-16 is a triple. That is a 16. So Greg Gagne with a triple, and we are on cycle alert, folks. We are on cycle alert, which I've never had. I just probably jinxed myself, I'm sure. I probably shouldn't have said a word about it. But we're only in the third inning, and Gagne has a triple, a single, and a home run in his 3 at-bats. All he needs is a double to get my elusive cycle. But the triple makes it now 10-1. Still nobody out, and here's Kirby Puckett. And boy, Bolton might have to take one about the team here. Trivia question top 4 from Miss Kathy. 112 for Puckett. He's going to foul it out to Gedman for the first out of the inning. Finally, an out is recorded. Now the infield comes in with Herbeck, and Herbeck much less effective against the lefties. So Bolton has a slight advantage there. 5-6, but he walks him, so he loses that advantage right there with the base on balls. But a double play would get him out of the inning. Here's Gary Gaetti. See if they can turn a double play. 4-5, and now he might get a double instead of a double play. There we go, a double. There's a 10, so that's a double 2 stars. Another run is in. Scoring is Gagne. Going to third is Herbeck on the double by Gaetti. That is now 11-1 Twins. Still only one out. Infield back in again. Not that it makes a difference at this score, but just because. And here's Gene Larkin. 6-8 struck him out. Strikeout for Bolton for out number 2. And now the ninth man again to bat in the inning, Bernansky. Bernansky has a distinction of making the last out in the first inning, the last out in the second inning, and potentially the last out in the third inning. I know I've never had that happen before. But if he gets on, we're going to bat around. So see what Bernansky can do. 4-8. It's a single, 2 stars. They will continue. 2-run single makes it 13-1 as the Twins now bat around. Bolton getting beaten from pillar to post, and unfortunately for the Red Sox, they're the home team, so they have to cover all 9 innings. They don't even get a break by not having the team bat in the bottom of the 9th. They got to cover everything. 13-1, and here is Lombardozzi. He led off the inning with the single. You got that right, Dad. They will be pitching. You want ID Jester back on, Dan? Or want him on in the background, maybe? I don't know. Let's see. 3-8. That's a ground ball to short. They're finally going to end the inning. But Red Sox put a 6-pack on the Twins put a 6-pack on the board to make it 13-1. Maybe I should have played this game offline now. The more I'm thinking about it. Really something. So Juan Berenguer, easiest job in the building right now. All he's got to do is make it through 5 innings, and he would qualify for the win. So bottom of the third we go. We do have a trivia question from Kathy at the top of the next inning. Here's Hindu Dave Henderson. It's a 1-6, and that's a 1-5 double. But, of course, the double die is not going to go the Red Sox way. It'll be a fly to left. You just kind of know when it's not your day, I guess. Here's Marty Barrett. He did double his first time up. The only hit of the game, or second hit of the game, he had the RBI double. That's a 2-4, and this time he's going to pop it up to Gaetti at third base. Easy out there for Wade Boggs. 4-7, and that is a ground ball second base X. We're looking at Lombardozzi. He's a 2-E18. 2-2, double die shows up again. So a 2-2 is going to be a base hit. That is a 13. He is an E18. And there's a 13 right there in the middle, right smack dab in the middle. 13, clear as day, right here. So we're going to get a single by Boggs plus the error on Lombardozzi. Single plus the E4. So maybe the Twins getting a little bit of sloppy with this big lead. Jim Rice is up. Technically a clutch situation, but how clutch can it be if you're down 13-1? But by rule it is. That's a 1 for Berenguer. His wild pitch rating is an 11. 10, he gets the wild pitch. So That will move Boggs to third. So now Berenguer getting a little bit lackadaisical. Boggs at third now with 2 outs for Rice. 3-4, and that's a ground ball to Gaetti at third, and that will end the inning. So nothing doing for the Red Sox in the top of, or the bottom of the third, rather. We go to the fourth with the score, Minnesota 13 and Boston 1. And now if you would turn your attention to the chat box, Kathy has a trivia question. In his major league debut, this pitcher threw 14 strikeouts against the Pirates in his major league debut. That's an interesting question. 14 strikeouts in his major league debut. Dan says Strasburg. I kind of remember that now that you brought it up, Dan. Jeff says Nolan Ryan. I think Dan's got it with Strasburg, though. I kind of remember that. Being here locally, getting the Nationals games, I kind of remember that. If I was a betting person, I'd say Dan got it right, and he did. Good job, Dan. You're right on the ball with that trivia question. Now we go. Thank you for that trivia question, Kathy. In this kind of game, we need all kinds of diversions and entertainment we can get. Dan, if you were a Pirates fan, you are definitely in a long slump. I think they were in the playoffs in like 13 or 14 after that. It's been a dry. I think it's been about a 10-year drought. (13-15). Okay. Here's Tim Laudner against Bolton. 6-7, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. We are looking at Owen. He's a 3E17. 3 and a double die shows up again. 3 and a 2 is going to be a base hit. Base hit. There's an 8, and he's an E17. There is no 8 there, but it's going to be a base hit for Laudner. Yet another base hit for the Red Sox. That is their 16th hit of the game, and we're just in the top of the 4th inning. Here's Dan Gladden. Laudner, of course, will not be held. 5-7, and that's a ground ball second base X. He's not being held, so second baseman Barrett will keep his 211. Will keep his 211 numbers on defense, but if the double die shows up, might not matter. 16, though, he caught a break. This could be a double play and probably should be. All right, so 2E11, 2 and a 16 is a G1, E11 and a 7. No 7 there, so it will be a 4-6-3 tailor-made double play. Giovanni's Tailor Shop sponsoring that double play. 2 quick outs. Bolton needed it, so did the Red Sox, for sure. And with 2 outs, base is empty, here comes Gagne. We all know what Gagne has already done. 2-8, that's a single, so he does not get the double he's looking for, but he is 4 for 4. But he's going to have at least 2 more at-bats, you would think. Possibly 3 if it gets out of hand, but at least 2 more at-bats. So here is Puckett. Hello, Mr. RJL. You missed the first game of the doubleheader. The Seattle-Toronto one was much closer. This one with a pitcher I'd never heard of before named John Lister. He got blitzed with 7 runs in the first 2 innings, and then Tom Bolton gave up 6 runs in the 3rd inning. He's still in there because they need somebody to eat innings. 3-8 for Puckett, struck him out to end the inning. And they finally put a goose egg on the board. So Gagne didn't get the double he needs for the cycle, but he got a base hit, and he's still got probably at least 2 more at-bats to go to try to get that elusive double. Here's Don Baylor, his first at-bat since coming in for Greenwell, who was injured. Baylor hitting 238 on the replay. 5 homers, 22 driven inning at 245 real world. 5-12 for Berenguer is a split chance. 1-14 is a single. So that's a base hit for Don Baylor. Of course, nobody's going to be held in a game like this. Gedman, how did he get out of turn here? Should be Evans, Buckner, and then Gedman. Here's Evans. That's why I was going to play this game offline, because I had a feeling something like this might happen. 5-4. Fly ball to left. Of course, when it's not a close game, there's more room for banter and silliness. So, or another clip of ID Jester, one or the other. Now here's Buckner. That's a 2-7 for Buckner. He lines it out right to Herbeck for out number 2. 2 down, and that's going to send us to Rich Gedman. (6-7), and that's a single to left field for Gedman. So that'll put runners at first and second with 2 outs for Spike Owen in what is by rule a clutch situation, but obviously how clutch can it be when it's 13-1? 4-4, and that's a fly ball center field X. That's Puckett is a 1. You know he's going to get to it. We're just checking the error. He's an E6 in center field. Center field, he's got to avoid 3, 4, 15, and 18. So 3, 4, 15, and 18 are the numbers to avoid. And he does. So Puckett will make the catch to end the inning. And at the end of 4, it remains 13-1 in favor of the Twinks. Bolton back out. This is his fatigue inning, number 3. And he'll be facing Herbeck, lefty-lefty matchup. 6-12 is a strikeout for Bolton. So he's actually got back-to-back strikeouts now. Here's Gaetti. He has a couple of doubles in the game. 6-7, and that's a ground ball to shortstop. Looking at Spike Owen, he's a 3E17. 3-20, obviously he'll get to that. E17 and an 11 for shortstop. E17, there's no 11 there, so good play for Spike Owen. 2 down for Gene Larkin. Larkin, the switch hitter, is 2 for 3. 110. Ballpark single check. That's going to be good on the 15. So base hit for Larkin. He's got 3 hits on the game. For the Twins, that is now hit number 18 in the ball game. And we're just in the 5th inning. Brings up Brunansky. (112). Fly ball to center. That's going to end the inning. It's one of those rare fly ball A's where everybody advances, but it's the 3rd out of the inning, so it doesn't matter. But don't see many fly ball A's in Strat-O-Matic, but you see a few of them once in a while. And Brunansky has one on his card. So Bolton's going to keep going. They're going to pitch him until his arm falls off, basically. Try to save some of that bullpen. Here's Berenguer. He's got to get through this inning to qualify for the win. Going to face Henderson. 4-7 is a ground ball to shortstop. That's Gagne. He is a 2E24. 2 and a 12 for Gagne. 2 and a 12 is a G1. That's a 10. And he's an E24. No 10. Good play. And Hendu is retired. Here's Marty Barrett. 1 for 2 with a double. 6-5, and that's a double there on a 1-6, but that's a 10, so it's just a fly to left for out number 2. And that'll send up Wade Boggs. 1 for 2. 1-6, and he's going to be 2 for 3 now, as that is 3 is going to be a double. He just missed a triple, but he'll settle with the double. He had 6 triples real season, but he gets the double here, and that brings up Jim Rice. Again, technically a clutch situation, but really how clutch could it be? It's a 2-6, and that's going to be a strikeout, so not very clutch there, obviously. And now Berenguer is officially the winning pitcher of record since he went to 5 innings. We go to the 6th, still 13-1. Bolton back out, and he'll be facing the bottom of the order, Lombardozzi, Laudner, and Gladden. That's a 3-8 for Lombardozzi, and that's a ground ball to short. 1 away. I might do that, Jeff, but there's only so many bench players I have. I'll have to figure out who would make sense. Here's I don't know why I need the D20. I didn't need that. Here's Laudner. 5-9, and that's a ground ball to second. So Bolton's actually settled in. After giving up those 6 runs in that 1 inning, he has settled down and has at least given his team some length. Here is Gladden. Dan Gladden. 5-12, and that's a ground ball to first base. I'm sorry, it's 4-12. 5-12 is a ballpark blast. What was I looking at? That's a ballpark blast, but Gladden has weak power. So it's a 6, which means it passes, but he's got weak power, so it's just going to be a single, not a home run for Dan Gladden. So now Gladden's on cycle watch. He needs a triple. He's got a home run, a double, and a single, so he needs a triple. Gagne needs a double. So I got 2 guys on cycle watch. Frank, I got that from Tribe Fan. That's where I got that from. All right, here's Gagne. That's a 2, chance for a balk or a pass ball. We're looking at a balk rating on Bolton. Let's get his balk rating. He balks. He's a 0 balk. No balk to worry about there. Here's Gagne. 1-9, and it's a double. There it is, folks. You've seen it live. My first ever cycle, and we just got it. 1-9. And that cycle, that double, Jeff, is clean as a baby's ass right there. That is clean as a baby's ass. 1-9 is a double. And the cycle has finally come to fruition. A homer in the 2nd, a triple in the 3rd, a single in the 4th, and now a double in the 6th. Solid double for Greg Gagne. Clean as there was no shenanigans. There was no X chance it didn't get fielded. It was a double for Greg Gagne. Now, can Gladden score? It was a double to center field. Henderson's a -2 arm. Gladden was not being held as a 17. 2 outs makes him a 19. Not being held as a 20. -2 is an 18. 1-18, and the Red Sox are just going to let him score and keep Gagne at second base because of the fact that he's celebrating the cycle. So there he is, Greg Gagne. If you had told me he'd have been the guy I got the cycle with, I wouldn't have believed you. But there it is. It's on stream. It's recorded. It's not something I did offline, and I can come out and say I got a cycle. You guys actually. So by hanging around, despite the blowout, you get to see the cycle. But again, Gagne is not the Puckett. I would have believed a little bit better, maybe even Gladden, but not Gagne, because I didn't think Gagne only had 10 home runs and 7 triples. But tell you what, he did it. He did it. Yeah, I've come close on. I've gotten a no-hitter in the different games. It's not Strat-O-Matic. I've gotten it in History Maker with Ferguson Jenkins in 1967, and that's on stream too, although the quality is very terrible. All right, here is Puckett, and this will probably be the end for Bolton, most likely. 3-8 for Puckett, struck him out, and that's going to end the inning. They get a run, but I think we're going to cap Bolton at 4 innings. He's had enough, I think. He's gone through enough abuse. So strikeout there to end the inning. That was the 20th hit. That double is the 20th hit for the Twins in this game. So Bolton gave up 11 hits in his 4 innings. He gave up 7 runs. Of course, all were earned. Let's get his walks and strikeouts real quick off the computer. And now John McNamara is looking down his bench to figure out who the position player is that's going to pitch the 9th inning. Let's see here. 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. And we'll figure out who the next pitcher is going to be for the Red Sox. Obviously, mop-up duties are in vogue here. So it appears that they will go with Wes Gardner. No relation to Dave Gardner. Wes Gardner. -5 hole, but again, really does it matter? When the score is this bad, 14-1, does it really matter what his hold rating is? I don't know. But anyway, Juan Berenguer, this is his fatigue inning, so we'll keep track of that. He'll be facing Baylor, Evans, and Buckner. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if Gladden got a triple in his last at bat to make it a double cycle? Having never had one, then get 2 cycles in the same game? That would be interesting. I don't think anybody's ever had a cycle. 2 guys have a cycle in the same game. I don't know if that's ever happened before in real world or any kind of replay. Hard to say. Here's Baylor. That's a 2-7, and he strikes out. So Berenguer just strolling along, not worrying about all the festivities. He's just doing his thing. Here's Dewey Evans. That's a 3-5 for Evans, and that's going to be a walk. Walk to Evans. And that'll send up Buckner. 6-6, and that is a 1-13 double. So that'll be a double for Buckner. 2 stars, so Evans does have to stop at third base. Second and third, 1 out for Rich Gedman. Infield, of course, is back. 2 is a chance for a balk or pass ball. He has no balk rating, so if it comes to the balk, we don't worry about that. But it's a pass ball check on Gedman, and he's a 12. And that will be a pass ball, and that will score. I'm sorry, the pass ball with a 6. And I rolled a 6, so it's still going to be a pass ball. So it will be a pass ball on Laudner to score a run and move the other runner to third. Gedman still in the box. Oh, it didn't go through. Let's redo this. 1-7, and that's a ground ball to third. They were playing back, so just a ground ball to third is going to score the run. I guess it's going to score the run. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know on this. It went to the corner, so I think it's not going to score the run, actually. Runner at third. Ground ball B is a 5. And a 5 says if it's hit to second or short, the runner advances. Otherwise, he holds. So actually, he's going to have to hold at third base. And it makes sense. Buckner's slow as can be. So it kind of plays into that. Here's Spike Owen. .110 for Spike Owen, and it's a clutch. How about? Well, let me tell you, folks. What do you think? It's a 14-2 game, but it is technically by rule a clutch situation, and Spike Owen just got a hit potentially off the clutch result. But is it really a clutch at bat if it's 14-2? I guess by rule it is. So I'll go and give it to him. But boy, I may have to home rule something with that because it just doesn't seem very clutch to me when it's 14-2, now 14-3. But hey, we'll do it. Here's Hindu. That's a 6-3, and that's a walk. That'll put runners at first and second. And now Berenguer is fatigued. So he's got to try to get through the inning. Can be facing Marty Barrett. Did you have him in the same game, Jeff? Tolan and Mays, were they in the same game or are they different games? All right, here's Barrett. 3-5 for Barrett, and that's a clutch reversal. So if we could give him the clutch hit, we got to keep the clutch reversal because that's a clutch reversal. That single now turns into an out because of the 2-out runner in scoring position. So that will turn out to a pop up to short to end the inning. But 2 runs come in for the Red Sox. That's a kind of rule I need to declare before the game starts, I guess, to be fair. That's going to be it for Baron Garrett. They're going to cap him at 6 innings because he was tired. And they'll pitch somebody to mop up the last part of a 14-3 game. Probably Mark Portugal. He's got some good length. So it's very likely could be Mark Portugal if he's not tired. I have to check to see if he's tired or not. He's got a relief rating of 3, though. So that would seem to make sense to do it that way. So Wes Gardner is your batter, or your new pitcher, as we start at the top of the 7th. We'll get the numbers on Gardner. Bolton went as far as he could go. He went 4 innings. So let's see here. Wes Gardner. In the real season of 1987, Gardner was 3-6 with a 5.42 earned run average and 10 saves. In the replay, 1-0, 7.38 earned run average and 1 save. And he's going to start out facing Kent Herbeck. 4-10. That's a catcher X. We're looking at Gedman. He's a 3E15. 3E15. 3 and a 14 for a catcher. But nobody's on base, so it doesn't, no worries about a wild pitch or anything. 3 and a 14 for a catcher is a pop out. That is a 13, and he's an E15. So that could be problems. E15, but there is no 13. So it will be a pop out to Gedman for out number 1. One down for Gary Gaetti. He's out on cycle watch. He had 2 doubles. 3-7 for Gaetti. He's going to strike out. And now that'll bring up Gene Larkin, but he will not hit. Larkin's not going to hit. I'll start going to the bench to start giving some other guys a chance. So we're going to have Mark Salas come in and take over as the DH. He is the backup catcher. Mark Salas is the new DH. So he will pinch hit here in the 7th and take over as DH duties. And if for some strange reason Laudner gets hurt or whatever, they'll just put Salas in as the catcher and lose the DH. But in a game like this, does it really matter? So here is Salas. Well, let's bring him on the computer first of all. Get his numbers off the computer. Mark Salas. And we will be making wholesale defensive changes at the end of this half inning. Let's see here. Salas, real world. He would get traded to the Yankees later this season, but right now he's with Minnesota. 250, real world. On the replays, hitting 150. A homer and 6 driven in. It's a 2-6, and that's a ground ball to Boggs, and that will do it. So we hit the 7th inning stretch, and now we're going to make some defensive substitutions for the Twins, as well as a pitching change on top of everything else. So we go to the Strat computer to get the numbers, final numbers on Bear and Gare. Berenguer goes 6 innings, gives up 8 hits, 3 runs. Only 2 were earned because the pass ball is an unearned run. Walks 4, strikes out 3. And we'll make sure that Portugal is rested enough to come in. Looks like he is. Oh, wait a minute. No, Portugal. No, we're not going to use Portugal. He's overused, so we're not going to use Portugal. So 86 that thought. We're not going to use Portugal. They will go with somebody else. They're going to go with George Frazier or potentially Atherton. They're both about the same as far as usage goes. So they're going to go with Frazier. George Frazier will be coming on to pitch for the Twins. Get the numbers on Frazier on the replay or on the real season. Real season for Frazier, he was 5-5 with a 498 earned run average and 2 saves. On the replay, he is 2-1, a 6.89 earned run average and no saves. So Frazier it is to pitch this bottom of the 7th. And it'll be Boggs, Rice, and Baylor due up for the Red Sox against Frazier. That's a 6-10, and that's going to be a fly ball center field X. We're looking at Puckett. He's a 1, so you know he's going to get to it. Just the E6 to worry about. That's a 14, so I don't think that's a problem. E6, nope, 15 is a problem, but not a 14. So Puckett does make the catch. 1 away. And here's Jim Rice. 3-8 for Rice, and that's a walk. So Frazier will issue the base on balls. 1 out, 1 on, and that takes us to Don Baylor. .310 for Baylor, and that's a fly to left, handled by Gladden. 2 down. Here's Dewey Evans. Specifically, wholesale changes will actually make him in the top of the 8th when we start pinch hitting. So here's Evans. Get a 2-5 for Evans. That's a ballpark blast. 1-10. It's gone. Dwight Evans, a 2-run home run. Look at it again. 2-5 is a ballpark blast. 1-10. That's a 7. So home run for Dwight Evans. Takes a little bit of the sting out of the game, but it's still only 14-5. And for Evans, that's home run number 8 on the replay. He had 34 real world. 32 and 33 are the RBI total now for Evans. But it is now a 14-5 game. And here's Bill Buckner. Billy Buck, 4-4. Ballpark single check. That's going to be a base hit for Buckner. So a base hit to Buckner. And that sends us to Rich Gedman. That's a 5-4. That's a fly to center to end the inning. But another 2 runs for the Red Sox. They've cut the lead to 14-5. And now we go to the top of the 8th. We'll start getting some pinch hitting, some replacements coming in. Leading off, scheduled to lead off rather, is Brunansky, but he will not bat. We will have Randy Bush coming on to pinch hit for Brunansky. And then we're going to have Al Newman coming in and hit for Lombardozzi. Laudner will hit for himself and stay in the catch. But it's going to be Bush and Newman coming up in the 8th inning. Bush and Newman. Bush will pinch hit in the 8th and play right field in the 8th. Newman will pinch hit in the 8th and play second base in the 8th. So first one up is Randy Bush. Bernansky finishes the game 1 for 3. So Randy Bush getting the call. Pinch hit on the real season. Bush, 253 hitter, 11 home runs. On the replay, he's hitting 247 with 2 home runs. So Bush, Gardner facing Bush. A 4-6, and that's a base on balls. So pinch hit walk issued to Randy Bush. That'll bring up Al Newman. And they will not hold Bush on with the score being what it is. So now we go to Al Newman. Al, what me worry Newman. He's going to pinch hit for Lombardozzi. And on the season, Newman was a 221 hitter, no home runs. On the replay, no home runs and a 261 hitter. .38 for Newman is going to be another walk from Wes Gardner. So he has walked both the pinch hitters. 2 pinch hit walks in a row. And now we got Laudner, the catcher, due up. To 1, chance of a wild pitch on Gardner. His wild pitch rating is a 9. So we will get a wild pitch. That'll put runners at second and third, takes the double play out of the equation. Wild pitch from Gardner. Infield is in for the Red Sox against Tim Laudner. It's a 2-9 for Laudner, and that's a single 1-4, but that's a 20. So he lines it to short for out number 1. And here comes Mr. Gladden. Infield still in for Dan Gladden. Gardner to Gladden. 6-3. 6-3 is a ground ball first base C. So that will hold everybody. Everybody stays put. And Gladden is not going to get his cycle. He only had 2 triples in the season, so it's kind of hard for him to get the cycle with only 2 triples. And I don't believe he had any triples on his card either. So kind of hard to get a triple. The only way he gets a triple is on a 1-3, and then the D20 is a 1-8, or an X chance in the outfield that goes awry. But here comes Mr. Cycle himself, Greg Gagne. Could he get his 6th hit? He's 5 for 5. 3-9 for Gagne. And that's a single 1-3, but that's a 16, so he lines it to short to end the inning. And somehow or another, Gardner gets out of the mess with no runs allowed. Score remains now 14-5 rather. So we go to the defense, put Newman in at second base. He stays in to play second. Randy Bush goes into play right field. And he will be in the spot held by Bernansky. And let's see, do we do anything else? Roy Smalley is going to come in and play third base for Gaetti. So we'll make that move. We'll bring in Smalley to play third base and give Gaetti the rest of the game off. And Smalley will actually get a chance to hit here in the 9th. So Roy Smalley is at third base. So we'll bring in Smalley. He's not a very good defensive third baseman, but the score being what it is, who cares? He's 4E37, but they're going to give Gaetti the rest of the game off. And let's see who's left. The only one left on the bench now is Davidson. And let's see, can we bring Davidson in for anybody? Might bring him in for Gladden. Actually, we're going to bring him in for Puckett. so he can have an at bat. So Davidson is going to come on and play center field for Puckett. So Davidson will get the call to center field here in the 8th, and he will get an at bat in the 9th. He's a 3 -2 E2, so not too bad in center field either. But he will actually lead off the 9th inning, and they'll give Puckett the rest of the game off. That clears the bench for the Twins. They've used all their bench players now. Frazier in for his 2nd inning of work. He'll be leading off facing Spike Owen. It'll be Owen, Henderson, and Barrett due up. That's a 2-12, and that's a line out to short. 1 down. So many lineouts we got now. We got 4 over here. 2 over. That's 6 lineouts so far. That's usually about average, I think. 6 lineouts on a pop out. A lineout that I changed to a pop out. Let's see here. Or actually, no, that was an anti-clutch. Never mind. All right, here's Henderson. 110 for Henderson is a fly to center. And how about that? You bring in the new center fielder Davidson, and the ball finds it. Just the way it works. Marty Barrett steps to the plate. But they'll call back Marty Barrett and give somebody else a chance. We're going to give Glenn Hoffman at bat. He doesn't get many at bats, so we'll give Glenn Hoffman a pinch hit at bat, and he'll stay in the game to play second base. So Glenn Hoffman will get an at bat here. He pinch hits in the 8th, plays second base in the 9th. Hoffman on the real season was a 200 hitter in 55 at bats. See what he's doing on the replay. On the replay, he's hitting 220 in 50 at bats. So he's getting near the end of his time. I think he goes to the Dodgers or something later on. I'm not sure. But anyway, Hoffman's up with 2 outs and the base is clear. That's a 4-8, and 4-8 is going to be a single to right field. So a pinch hit single for Glenn Hoffman. Brings up Wade Boggs. For 8, and that's a 1-2 single. Anything else, he lines out to second. So our 7th line out of the game ends the inning. And don't look now, but George Frazier, if he completes the 9th inning, will actually qualify for a save in this game. As weird as that seems. Line out to second by Boggs. And now inserted to second base will be Glenn Hoffman. And coming into pitch, it'll be Ed Romero. Ed Romero is going to be the position player that gets the opportunity to pitch. Using the pitcher position player card on the rule book. If we roll a 4, 5, or a 6, then we'll be going right here. So we'll bring that in if we need it. Coming up to the plate, it'll be Davidson, Herbeck, and Smalley due up, scheduled hitters. Davidson, Herbeck, and Smalley. So Ed Romero. Before we do that, we'll get Gardner's numbers on the replay. Let's take a look here. Gardner went 2 innings, gave up nothing, walked 2, and struck out 1. But they don't want to wear him out either in a meaningless game, or at least what appears to be a meaningless game. I appreciate that, Joel. Maybe that's my background as a mathematical statistical person. I majored in mathematical sciences in college with a minor in statistics. So that's probably what part of that is. Like to cross my eyes and dot my I's and cross my T's, as the saying goes. So here's Davidson. He's going to pinch hit, or not pinch hit, but he's going to get his first at bat against Ed Romero. So if we get a 4, 5, or 6, we'll pull out that other thing out of the rule book. But we get a 2-9, which is under Davidson's own card, and he's going to ground to third. So Romero retires Davidson for out number 1. That brings up Kent Herbeck. So Kent Herbeck is your batter. That's under the Strat-O-Matic site, position pitcher thing. 4-4. That's a ground ball, second base, extra, and it's going to go to Hoffman. I tell you, bring in a new player, and the ball finds you. So Hoffman at second base. We'll bring up Hoffman's defensive ratings at second base. He is a 3E25 at second base. So we have 3E25 for Hoffman. 3 and a 12, he'll get to that. E25 and an 11. E25 and an 11. And there's an 11 right there. So Glenn Hoffman boots it. It's going to be an E4. Not what Romero wanted. He kind of wanted to make the play there. It's going to make him pitch a little bit longer. And here's Roy Smalley. This is his first chance here. First at bat of the replay. Smalley, or not the replay of the game. On the replay, 275 with 8 home runs. On the replay, he's hitting 261 with 2 home runs. Switch hitter, Roy Smalley, veteran. 2-4 for Smalley, and that's a ground ball double play. 3-6-3 double play. So Ed Romero tosses a scoreless inning. 3-6-3 double play turned by Buckner and by Owen. So Romero will go 1 inning and allow nothing. How about that? So we go to the bottom of the 9th, and George Frazier on to try to earn the save. He can get the save due to the 3-inning rule. So he certainly is capable of doing it despite this lopsided score. And here's Jim Rice to lead us off out about Baylor and Evans. That's a 4-2. And that's a ground ball to first base C. So again, the 3-1 ground out as Herbeck will flip to Frazier covering. And there is one away. Here's Don Baylor. Baylor, 6-2. And that's going to be a split chance on Frazier on a 6-2. 1-14 is a single. That's a 19. So yet another line out. Line out, I believe that's number 7 now. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 8 lineouts in the game now. So 8 lineouts in this game. That's why I say, I put it in the wrong spot. It should be down here. Should not be over here because that was not Mark Salas batting. Let's take care of that. Doesn't matter. We're not going to need this spot going forward anyway. So 2 outs, last chance saloon, and that belongs to Mr. Dwight Evans, who did hit a 2-run homer his last time up. Let's see what he can do here against Frazier. 1-5, and that's another. Look at that, clean as a baby's ass, Jeff. We need the wipes again. 1-5 is clean as a baby's ass. Right there. Clean as a baby's ass. Home run number 9 on the replay. Not dream number 9, but home run number 9. RBI number 34. It is now 14-6 in favor of the Twins. And here's Billy Buck. 3-7 for Buckner, and he grounds to Herbeck at first, and that's going to do it for the ball game. But an historic ball game in a lot of ways. I forgot to even put Frazier in here. Tells you how much I was paying attention on that one, huh? So we'll complete the ground ball to first to end the ball game. And now we go to the box score and get the gory details. "14 runs, 20 hits, and 1 error for the Twins. 6 runs, 12 hits, and 1 error for Boston. Losing pitcher is Leicester. He is now 0-1. Winning pitcher is Berenguer. He is 2-0. George Frazier gets the save, his first of the season, as he goes 3 innings, gives up 4 hits and 3 runs, all earned, 1 walk and no strikeouts. Minnesota left 9 on base. The Red Sox left 10 on base. And player of the game, don't think it can be disputed here, Mr. Cycled himself, Greg Gagne. Kenyon, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. That's why I did the doubleheader, because I may or may not play tomorrow. I don't know what's going on. So it's possible that I won't play it tomorrow, particularly not at this time of day. So got the cycle. There it is, Greg Gagne. I know you can't read the score sheet very well. Single in the first, home run in the second, a triple in the third, another single for good measure in the fourth, and then that double in the sixth is what sealed it. That was on that. It was a clean double, too. Clean as a baby's ass, 1-9. That double right there was what did it and got him the cycle. So let me see what the Strat write-up says on here. Greg Gagne hit for the cycle and had 6 runs batted in. So there you go. I would think he is the player of the game. Gagne goes 5 for 6 with 6 runs batted in. Raises his batting average to .386 on the replay. And he only hit .265 real world. So he is just out of his mind right now in this replay. Twins go to 24-27. Boston drops to 19-32. So let's go to the standings and see what the Twins did. With that win, the Twins pulled within 4.5 games, or actually stayed within 4.5 games of Oakland, because Oakland already beat Baltimore earlier on this date. So they win to keep pace, stay 4.5 back at 24-27, Oakland at 28-22. Minnesota is currently 3 games less than what they were in real world. They were 27-24 at this point in real world. Right now they're 24-27. So not too far off, just 3 games off the pace. So that's not too bad, I wouldn't think. George Frazier is obviously going to need the next game off after pitching 3 innings. So we'll make that note that he does not appear in the next game because of that. So thank you all for sticking through this doubleheader, particularly the fact that this game was a blowout to start. But for those that did hang around, you got to see the first ever cycle. So it's been documented. No getting around it. It has been documented. It has happened. So I do thank everybody for being here and on your Thanksgiving Eve. Like I said, I don't want to promise anything for tomorrow because I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. If I feel like I have a chance to sneak out and do something, I will, but I'm not going to count on it. Tom Bolton is also going to be unavailable in the next game for Boston. So Bolton and Frazier saved their bullpens, and so of course both pitchers will be unavailable in the next game. RJL, happy Thanksgiving to you. Hope you are enjoying your time off. And hope you are enjoying your Inside Pitch Advanced, getting ready in January for your new season to begin, the first season of the RJL Network season replays and Inside Pitch to be on Inside Pitch Advanced. So that'll be a new thing. Still haven't figured out what I'm going to do for my other project, whether it's go back to Inside Pitch, regular basic Inside Pitch with the 1977, stick with the Demolition League in 2024 or go on to something else that I really haven't decided all that. First game of the doubleheader, in case you were late getting in, Seattle bested Toronto 3-1. Mike Moore went 8 innings and got the win. Jim Clancy, a complete game, but the Blue Jays just couldn't get any runs, any support going with the runs. So only 4 runs and 11 hits in game 1. Game 2, 20 runs and 32 hits. Quite a difference. So again, wish you all happy Thanksgiving. If you are one to want to keep an eye on the Black Friday specials by any of the game companies, of course, check that out. I believe Dave Gardner had some kind of a stream about Black Friday sales. But of course, if you just go to their website, that's going to do it from here. Hope you all have a great day, whatever you have planned remaining for this day, as you prepare, hopefully, to meet with family and friends for Thanksgiving. Beautiful day here. It's going to be 70 degrees here, and then tomorrow it's going to drop into 40. So we get a 20-degree, almost drop off between today and tomorrow. So again, hope you all have a great day. Enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you play it. Strat-On, as Tenacious Earl would say. And until next time, we'll see you all down the road.